So there's a line highlighted here on the screen. And a very good question that came up in the class is, why would we possibly do this? Why would I possibly create an animal reference to a lion object? Why not create a lion reference to a lion object? And notice, because animal is a superclass for both lions and sheep, I can say animal sheep2 equals new sheep. Ooh, pardon me. And that's okay. So, one thing to point out is that I can create a method. Let's go make a method public void animal action. Some action that an animal is going to take. And let's say a sheep or a lion could do this accordingly. I can pass it an animal parameter called a, and then it's going to say a.protect. And this is polymorphism at work. So notice I can call lion1 dot, sorry, animal action dot lion1 animal action sheep1 animal action lion2 animal action sheep2. So if I build this, I'm going to have to make this static actually before I build it. Put this inside. So I've made this class, this method, and if I run this, what we'll see at the very start is we'll see line protecting, sheep protecting, line protecting, sheep protecting. This is polymorphism at play. Because lions and sheep are subclasses of an animal, I can write a method anywhere that takes an animal and I can pass that a lion or a sheep, and if there's any methods called, the computer will sort out which protect method to call in this case. So that still doesn't answer our question, why might I make this a reference type? Because you notice that I can send a lion1, which is a lion reference. Sorry, I had to pause that, so there'll be a little hiccup here. We call animal action with both a lion1, which is a lion reference, and a lion object, sheep1, which is a sheep reference and a sheep object, lion2, which is an animal reference and a lion object, and sheep2, which is an animal reference and a sheep object. So again, there's polymorphism at play, but it doesn't really address the idea of, well, why do we need to do this? Because if I can call any method, if I can call this method with these two instances, there's no purpose. So let's imagine that you were writing a game where it was a multiplayer game, and players would pick to be a sheep or a lion, and you had to store, you had to go through all the different player stats and figure things out. Well, a useful thing would be to store them in an array list. But the problem is that players are two different types of objects. They're either lions or sheep, and that means you would then need two separate array lists in order to store them. And that's what we kind of have here. So here you'll see in Animal Runner 2 we have an array list of lions, and we can add a new line, and I could add another line to it. I could say lions.add new lion. I can add as many as I want, and that's great if everyone in your game is a lion. Likewise, I can make an array list of sheep, which again is great if everyone in your game is a sheep, but everyone in your game isn't a sheep. Everyone in your game isn't a lion. They're a combination of them. And this is where this having a different type than your object instance is useful. If I make an array list of animals, I can then add to it either sheep or lions, which gives a nice level of flexibility. So I can make an array list of any class which is higher in the hierarchy, and then I can add any object lower in the hierarchy to that. And then that is the main reason right now that we explore this idea of creating a lion object with an animal reference type. So having a different reference type than an instance. So this is something that I really think everyone should keep in mind when you do your main project and explore this idea, because this is really useful for doing some cool things. I hope these sets of videos helped.